Hey y'all, it's 16-Bit Gambit coming to you with another video. What we're going to do in this video is we're going to take our project where we already have the platformer world set up and we programmed a character that can stand idle, run, walk, jump, and attack in the left and the right direction. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to create an enemy. So what this process is going to include is creating the enemy as far as sprite is concerned, creating the animations for the enemy, adding a collision body for the enemy so it doesn't fall through the map, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the code so that it knows to play the animations for idle and also to move as well. So let's get started. For right now, I'm going to go ahead and in the table of contents or the tree, I'm going to minimize the character body 2D, and you're going to notice that I'm adding a lot of similar items. I'm going to start with the character body 2D, and I'll go ahead and I'll update the name to be very similar to the one I used for the character. Long term, I plan on using this as a template for enemies on the map, or at least enemies that move. So I'm going to change this one's name to Enemy Body 2D, and I'm going to add the essential nodes below that will allow me to use it in the game. So item number 1 is going to be Sprite 2D. Item number 2 is the animation player. Item number 3, one moment, is going to be a collision shape. And then, just looking forward, I'm also going to add an area 2D. And below that one, I'm going to add another collision shape. Okay, so step 1 is I'm going to go ahead and add the sprite that I want to use for the enemy. Once again, I've already had these made from the different projects I've had lying around that I'm going to be compiling into one single project. I made these using Aseprite, and I'm going to start by bringing in a plant enemy sprite. And if I zoom out and I go up to the origin, you'll see that this is 1 row by 7. So I go to animation and I change the H frames to be 7. V frames will remain untouched. And now we'll start with the animation player. There's only going to be 4 animations right now, although as I add new functionalities, I guess I'll need to do updated videos. Right now we're just going to be stand idle and chase. I think it'd be kind of cool if it was smart enough to 1 in 5 times, 1 in 10 times, if it gets scared, maybe run away and call for more of these guys to spawn. So once I figure that one out, I think I'll make a video on it. So, new animation, idle _ right, trying to maintain uniformity. And we're going to say that this is relaxed, 1.5 seconds. We're going to snap every, can't do math, 0.375. Let's see if that works. We're going to click back over to the sprite, and we're going to say visibility is on and locked, creating a track for that. And we're going to go through frame coordinate 1, and then it's already progressed to the next iteration, or at least as far as, next offset on the timeline. And we're going to lock animation number 2. And we're going to lock animation number 3. And because I was too lazy to add a 4th animation, we're going to go back down to next animation. I'm going to turn off the visibility and everything for now, and I'm just going to take a look at the... Oh, okay, I guess I can't do that. Guess I'm stupid. I'm going to zoom in real quick, and we're just going to play the animation to see if we're happy with it. I'm going to go ahead and put it on loop so that it just continues on. Yeah, that's good enough. Looks like he's chilling, not really causing any trouble. I'm going to go ahead and pause it for now. And I'm going to go to transform. Nope, I'm not. I'm going to go to offset. I'm going to flip H, I'm going to lock it as off at the very beginning of this animation. Now I'm going to go animation, and I'm going to go duplicate, and I'm going to take this and use that to make idle left. Okay, and then the only difference is I'm going to come up here once again to offset, and I'm going to lock flip H at the beginning of the animation playing. So idle left almost seems too relaxed. I'll play with that one later, but for now, maybe I can make a video that takes less than a half-hour episode of a TV show. Cool. Now we're going to give this one the animation for moving. So I'm going to create a new animation. Move right. Okay. And we're going to lock animation to being on. We are going to turn off flip H and lock it. And we are going to move to okay, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the beginning of the move animation. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lock this now real quick. And the only time this animation is going to be triggered is when this one is chasing the character. So it's not going to be casually moving, although that would be something kind of cool that, once again, I'll add later. So I'll update my notes to just a wander animation, random and time-based, plus call for help. Yeah, I think I could figure that one out and make that video pretty soon. Okay, so it's moving fast. Let's take a look and see if 1 second long is going to be fast enough so you feel as though this guy's chasing someone. So 3, 4, 5, 6. Put it on loop. Doesn't really seem fast enough. Let's go ahead and cut that in half and see what happens. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to hover the mouse over the time track. I'm going to roll forward to expand this. I'm going to go 0.5. I'm going to snap to 0.125. Hit enter. I'm going to take the frames I've already selected and just move them down to kind of crunch them into this time frame. And play it again. Yeah, that looks better. It looks faster. It looks like they're chasing something, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to hit pause. Loop is good. Animation, duplicate, move underscore left. Okay, play it again. I know what I forgot. That's pretty embarrassing. So I'll click on the sprite over here on the tree, scene tree, and I'm going to go to flip H on at the 0 mark. And we're good. So animation left loop, 1 second, chasing to the left, chasing to the right, idle right, and I'll set this one to autoplay so that whenever this thing first comes into being on the screen, it'll just default to auto or playing automatically. Super duper. Sprite animation collision. I wish I had a better software so I could try to demonstrate for y'all what happened last time with that main character. But because I need to turn off the screen recorder and turn it back on, you're going to miss what happens when I go to test this overall scene, because when I press play, once I apply gravity, it'll fall through these ones. Oh well, I got a little bit ahead of myself trying to make something entertaining, but at this point, we'll go ahead and we'll add this first collision shape, and that's just going to be the representation of the body of this dude on the world map. And that's going to make sure that it doesn't fall through the floor, just like I don't want the main character to fall through the floor. So I've clicked on collision shape, keeping it close to the character body, and I'm going to go shape, click on the empty, and I'm going to choose new circle shape. And the only purpose for this guy is to make sure that he doesn't fall through the floor. And real quick, I'm going to click on the sprite. Now I realize that I probably dragged the sprite instead of the character body 2D, so What I'm talking about is when the new node was made, it showed up at the origin or the 0, point, and when I dragged it down there so you could see it on top of the platform, I only grabbed the sprite instead of this, which is like the container for all the pieces that you're using to make that enemy. So if I click on the sprite, which I already did, and I go to the transform area, I'm going to zero this one out, and then whenever I move this, I'm going to move the character body 2D so that every aspect is tied to the same point. I don't know if I'm just being a stickler on this or not, but it helps me keep stuff straight as opposed to have everything on a different transform, which is kind of like your local coordinates that you move away from the starting point for everyone. If you imagine 4 people meeting at a restaurant, that's going to be your origin point, but if they're all sitting around a table, then they're all going to transform, a couple feet forward, backwards, left, and right. Sorry if I got kind of out there on this one. Okay, so another item is I'm going to drag that one below the sprite just so I can see it better. As you go further down this one until you get into the sorting, if it's lower on the list, then the item is going to be visible on top of what's above it on the list. I've already got the move option selected, and I'm just going to drag this guy down to line up with the feed. A little bit too big. That's good. This one I don't plan on using it to interact with anything besides the map, so that's pretty good. Made a round enemy with a round collision body, so those ones are good. And then real quick, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to create this other collision shape. And so what this thing is going to be used for is it's going to be used to detect the character, so that this guy knows that something is close enough that needs to be chased. I remember years ago I was reading someone talk about video games, and they said that when you're in a video game, the game knows you're there and the enemies know that you're there, but they're waiting for the criteria to be met to start chasing you. So whenever you're playing Dark Souls or Elden Ring and you're sneaking up behind something, it looks as though it doesn't know that you're there, but it's all inside the same game, and it knows you're there. It's just waiting for you to mess up and bump it, or collide, or mess up and make a noise. So the idea of bumping something is going to be met with this second collision shape. When the character's body interacts with this one, it will change from the default idle animation to the chase animation as this plant's enemy chases the main character. Real quick, I'm going to go area 2D, and actually I'm going to pause that for a second. So the world is on physical layer 1. The character shape is on, I'm clicking the character body. I'm going to say the character is going to be on layer 2. If the player has a weapon, it's going to be on 3. And the character's body isn't listening for anything, so I can turn off the mask for now and make sure I didn't mess anything up. If I go to the enemy, we're going to say that it is on 4. And the enemy's body is not listening for anything. I hope that when I turn that on, it doesn't fall through the world, but I think that should be good because that's probably just for signaling. And the detection is going to be on 5, listening for 2. So hopefully that works. We'll be able to test that in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and hit save because I'm paranoid. And now we're going to start with the code. Cards on the table, once again. For some of these items, especially the state machines and moving, I got my original code from ChatGPT, and in this case, for the sake of the videos, I'm going to copy it from a Word document off to the side iteratively so you can see as we're adding the different states. I'm not going to type it in and pretend as though I made a lot of it on my own. Some of the later ones I actually did have to figure out. It was too specific for ChatGPT to do. But I guess just for the idea of saving time, and then also I found what worked is at the end of the last video, I just pasted the code over top of the end of the video. So if you wanted to work along, you can also do that one as well, or you can pause it and just type it in off the screen. So, okay, we're going to add a script to the enemy body 2D platformer. Up here you see the scroll with the green plus. And I'm going to go ahead and cancel that one. I don't know if it's good grammar to have your scripts name the same thing as your scenes or your nodes. I just kind of got in the habit of doing that from the videos I've seen other people work on, so hopefully I'm doing the right thing. But I also noticed that there's capitalization capitalization, underscore convention, stuff where it's like, I think I'm doing the right thing, but also because my background is not computer science, maybe I'm not. Now, feel free to throw constructive criticism. Hopefully my skin is thick enough. Oh, 15 minutes. I should probably speed up. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove those items that were already in here for the sake of just adding them along, although, yeah, that's cool. Godot throws that in there so you can move items. I guess when you first add them, granted, a lot of that input is for user, whereas I'm using this for an enemy. So, constants for movement. Let's see, state machine first. So I'm going to add my state machine as an enum or a constant. Thankfully this will be faster because there's only two states, only idle or chase. And we're going to set the default state to idle, default to face and to the right. Very similar to the last video. We're going to go ahead and define the animation player as a variable, the enemy's animation player, and Godot will allow you to have the same name for different nodes inside of your overall scene, as long as they're not at the same level. So in 2 videos previous, whenever I was duplicating the map, you notice how it just started adding numbers so it could differentiate that, but if those maps were added as child nodes of each other, then it would just be tile map layer, tile map layer, tile map layer. So here, you notice that animation player for the enemy is similar to animation player for the player. And I think that'll also make it easier down the line in case I actually find a point where I can combine those into one single template type node, regardless if it's for automated enemies or controlled players. Sorry, going a little bit off the deep end with this one. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the ready function just with pass right afterwards, because a little bit later we're going to be adding items into the ready function, but for now it's just marking out space. We're going to change process from physics process to process process. I'll do a little bit of reading on that one so I can feel confident talking about the difference between those in another video. For now, I'll just try not to sound stupid. And we'll create once again the state machine function that its time is based off delta, or is triggered by that delta. Time. Its time difference is using the delta. Hopefully I got that one right. And we'll add the line match current state to idle. So default state, idle, nothing changes the state so far. Match current state, match to idle, play idle animation. Move and slide, although we'll sneak something in between those a little bit later. And we'll add the play idle animation. Function play idle animation if last direction equals left, play idle left. Oh, okay, so it doesn't do the thing where it adds the strings together. Not like a hammer, a little bit more complicated. So although I use it, I don't own in my mind all that stuff. So velocity X, for now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit Control K to comment that one out. And I think that should be good just to snap to in the world and then see the enemy is just chilling out facing to the right. And you see that I've got the plant enemy just chilling out off to the side. And where'd the character go? By saying that the character's body is not listening for the world, fell straight through. So accidentally guessed right. So obviously I need to go back to the player real quick and say that they're listening for one, and very similar, that also means that I need to make sure that my enemy is listening for one as well. That looks a lot better. Now we've actually got the character on top of the platform, although we need to start applying gravity so the enemy will start dropping down as well. So like I said, this will be a somewhat faster video because the last items that we're going to add in this one will just be the ability to trigger the chase function and apply gravity, and that should be it. So real quick, just with the last bits and pieces for this more simple enemy, is we're going to add constants for movement, which once again we've got acceleration, the max speed, deceleration, the slowdown of the velocity. Oh gosh, starting over. We got acceleration, how fast you speed up. Acceleration, slowing down 3 times faster. We got the max speed, which is 75. We got the gravity force, which is going to be applied to the enemy. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add the move state, and we're going to set the target to null for now. And we are going to add the detection shape, which is just this area 2D. So now, just as the animation player is represented as a variable, the detection shape is also represented as a variable. We're going to add inside the state machine, regardless of what state that you're in. We're now going to be applying, whoops. We're going to be applying gravity. So if we're not on the floor, apply gravity. And we're going to add the move state. So if we're not on the floor, apply gravity. Match current state. If idle, play idle animation. State move. If there is a target, chase target, apply delta, else current state equals idle. So if we lose the character, we go back to idle. Super duper. Move and slide to still where it should be. Play idle animation is brought in. And then the last item is chase target. No, second to last item. Okay, chase target delta. If target has a value, the direction is towards the target, chase it down. X applies max speed, acceleration, and delta. If direction is 0, last direction equals right. There you go, so it doesn't change direction until it chases something. Play, move right. If it's less than 0, which is to the left, last direction equals left. Play, move left. And real quick, I'll demonstrate this one for you manually, then paste the code. One of the cool things about Godot is the signaling option, which basically allows me to have a node that's inside of this tree communicate up the line. So, signal up. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on Area 2D, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go over to Node. I'm going to use body entered and body exited. So what this does is, once there's something, triple click and make sure that I communicate with the enemy, not the player. Connect and body exited, triple click, make sure I'm connecting with the enemy. Connect is so when the body is entered, and by the body I mean this larger shape here, it's going to communicate into the code the ID for the body of the character. So, because I had a quick check, because these signals over here, some of them are working for me, some of them are not. So when I was making this code, I went in and I put in print body entered, target equals body. If there exists a target, target equals body, target equals the character. Current state equals move. And very similar, I've got my testing value over here for when I exited. Print body exited. If body equals target, target equals null. Current state equals idle. So once you enter, sets it equal to. As you exit, it changes target to null if it equals the body that's exiting, and then triggers idle state. That should be good. So at this point, we are chilling out on the map. I can move around. I can jump really high because I don't know what the final zoom is going to be until I start adding more stuff. And the enemy chases. Come on, buddy. So right now, there's not going to be any knockback. The collision bodies are going to push each other apart, but you can see that once I'm close enough to the enemy, it decides to face me, it decides to change directions, and I can attack, but ain't nothing gonna happen. But that is the first part of creating an enemy, animating the sprite, at least creating the chase function, and next video, I think I should carry this through. Instead of making the enemy more complicated first time and adding the wander and adding the call for help functionality, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the functionality for the player to damage the enemy, and for the enemy to damage the player. And then the next one is I'm going to add the player heads-up display. And then the third video, I'm going to add the additional enemy functionality. I think that'd be a good way to go about it. So, if you like that, cool. If you don't, on the bright side, you won't be waiting too long. I'm just redoing a lot of the stuff that I've already done. And so, whether it's 3 videos from now or 1, it's still going to happen within the next week anyway. So, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you have any questions, thoughts, or comments in general, if you have any better ways to do stuff, I'm all ears, and I appreciate you being a good audience. Otherwise, y'all take care. Bye.